Hey everybody, this is In Your Phase Media. I'm your host, John Feuerhelm, doing a little introduction for our executive producer, Alex Gonzalez, who is busy with his preparation for Ye Old Potato Cup. So we have a great show this weekend, a little pre-tournament coverage with the Boise Cup and the Hammerhead GT, both happening this weekend. Hope you enjoy the show. Talk to you soon. In Your Phase Media.
Well, good thing that you set that ahead of time because that would be private health information, and that's a whole
Yes, yes,
that's
it
a
would
whole
be.
thing.
Nobody wants to know how Jeremy Visser, the 2019 champion, wants is doing health wise.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
we all went through 2021, so it's like a curve. There's your general health, and there's what all of us happened in 2021 with extra DoorDash and everything that was involved
Yeah,
there.
I was really hoping,
But now,
these tests would tell me how many bottles of scotch I've consumed in a year.
You're looking for the high score.
Yeah, well, at least where am I on the periphery?
Oh, I just that's really funny. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's just very weird. I hope it all goes well, right? Heavy as the crown, especially with ITT 2019. Mm.
Yeah, exactly. Except, we'll see 2021 because 2020 I think is fucked. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Well, 2020 ITC, it's really interesting to be in the Southern California Age of Sigmar chat that Matthew hath thrust me into, like two
uh-oh.
of them. One of them was for the event, and one of them was for like general club. And it's like you normally do with a group chat, you would mute it, but it's fun to go in once in a while because they uh, they are like the top in the ITC right now because they've just had the most frequent number of events, and they've had like one major, so they're just kind of shooting for it. And of course, John, myself, and maybe you, Jeremy, I'm not sure, but a good handle of us are going in August to their next event. So it's just funny to like once in a while just post something. Like I posted a GIF of because somebody was like, oh well, I'm number two, so like I'm really excited. I'm like, my engines are all revved up and stuff for the event. And I just posted the gif of like Randy Savage when he's in his like coked out mode in the like early mid 80s where he's going like bang bang, like I got you in my snipe. Like makes no sense. Dude's clearly on one, right?
Right.
Oh boy. Well, everyone, of course, this is In Your Phase. We got a great show tonight for our phases, or for my phase. It is a fucking whirlwind. I'm really glad that like there's no top down camera like John has with his hobby show, because you would see my mouse pad, my mouse, my mic, and you would see a ton of basing material and paint and a wet palette and like a bunch of chain rasps, a couple of different Nighthaunt characters. My entire front area like this is a complete and utter fucking disaster. Same with the surrounding area filled with Magna racks, because of course I bought another Magna rack. I found that I have the bag 432, the one that's like perfect for going underneath a seat in the airport, or like the airport, whatever, yeah, passenger seat. And so I always use that, but sometimes you want to have armies in queue. Maybe you want to have like a 40k army in queue, and maybe an AOS one, or maybe like a hobby project one that like you'll proxy. At least that's what I like to do. So I have two separate like regular Magna rack things ready to go at any one time, and I just set up a third one because a local store in Oregon City happened to have the little sliding Magna racks. So I've been fucking around
Oh
with those,
yeah.
so I have like all the pieces around me right now. And holy shit, I try to avoid investing too much in said company, which will not be named, but I've already said the product, so there it is. But still, it is it's a good product. That's the problem. It's like they don't really have a competitor. They have competitors, especially ones that are really great overseas, like A-Case and things like that, but they are substantially more expensive for probably equal quality. Then there's also like hell, even in Oregon City, Saberforge, the company that makes like realistic saber hilts and stuff like that, like movie quality saber hilts, and it's an amazing place. And once we can go back, if anyone comes to visit outside of like directly playing in a tournament, we will go down to the showroom. It is awesome. But they make like MDF, like magnetized trays for Warhammer, and it's like a fully MDF tray, and I really like it. But it's a little too expensive for what you get. It's almost the exact same price as a Magna-Rack, maybe just a little bit cheaper with a quality that technically would be a little bit more restrictive still. Definitely not flight worthy or anything like that. So it's a little tricky, but I'm sure they'll get there and refine it to make the price point a little better. But yeah, anyways, my entire place is a mess or a little hobby area. And besides that, I'm very excited about Boise Cup. And I think we got a game in. I don't remember. Everything has been a whirlwind for me. If we did, it was probably with Gravelords, and I probably didn't do so hot. I realize I'm talking about a game from a week and a half ago, so never mind. Yeah, that's all that's in my face. Nothing but utter and complete chaos. What about you, John? You seem very chill and not chaotic right now.
Utterly chill. Of course, that is the narrow focus that I offer to the world through this little tiny window. Yet, as we go beyond the boundaries of what you can see, I assure you, there is nothing but chaos. And of course, as a deep fan of Skaven and Nurgle, you know that below this calm exterior, there is a particularly twisted form of chaos waiting to make itself out into the world. And I will be applying that very soon. As Alex was talking about, we have the Old Town Throwdown coming up in Southern California, South Inland Empire is what I always used to call that, but I guess maybe it's not really quite there. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at that. As far as what's been in my phase, not too much. I have been pretty well focused on getting ready for the Hammerhead Games Major GT that's going to be coming up this weekend, putting together the event packet, working on fact, answering questions in particular, things that I hadn't thought of, hadn't considered as it goes. It's funny, I was just joking around in our in our GT chat that, yeah, I've got a list of everybody who asked jinky questions, and I'm going to put them together in the same pod.
Did you see what our good friend, and we're going to be talking about his event too, but what Aaron's comment was too, about how he's getting a bunch of comments specifically about AdMech and whether or not their models are legal?
Yeah. So exactly. It's funny that the factions that not most of the questions, that 100% of the questions, each with multiple questions applied to them, are in fact Sisters of Battle, Adeptus Mechanicus, Eldar, Dark Angels. Wow. I'm like, okay, 2 new codexes and 2 played by janky people. I didn't say that. I don't know. So anyways, we'll see how that goes. Other than that, hasn't been a lot in my face. I did get down to the game store. I think I mentioned, maybe that was last week or this week. It all still blurs together. But to get myself some heavy intercessors. So starting to work on said heavy intercessors to add to my Johnny Marine army. And you know, that's kind of what's been in my phase. Decided to break out this 1792 single barrel. A little dark for my tastes. I tend to like the lighter whiskeys, as it were, and not the best. So.
That's all right, John. When I'm in California, we'll fix that.
Yeah, we'll have to fix that up. Other than that, of course, had a amazing session of Pathfinder last night with the mighty GM Garrett, and it was kind of fun. Garrett he outed me. He forced me to have my big reveal party And the rest of my party now knows that I'm a big furry. So we'll see where that leads to. James in particular was had some fun comments on that. Other than that, I think I will leave any description of the actual events of the evening to Mr. Garrett, because I don't think I could do justice to the amazing again Ocean's 11-esque adventure that he put together for us. So Mr. Garrett, sir, what has been in your phase this week?
So first thing I want to point out, we were talking earlier about the Southern California guys being top in the ITC. Number one right now is Anthony Trentinelli from out here on the East Coast. So not a Southern California guy. And then number 5 is his brother, Ignatius Trentinelli.
Ignatius Trentinelli?
Yeah.
I need to play this person. What an awesome name.
I mean, he goes by Nate because apparently nobody can pronounce Ignatius, but I'm like, it's spelled phonetically. What's the problem?
Yeah, it's definitely spelled phonetically.
Awesome.
So so that's number 1 and number 5. And then the Southern California guys, I think, are 2 through 4. But so yeah, I had a great session last night. I mean, like, it's one of those things where as a GM, you put like all of your heart and soul and like really set up the session, and then your players just like go off on a tangent, and all of your best stories are done purely on improv, on random bullshit that comes up. So yeah, so that basically they like set up the last session with like needing to do this big jailbreak, and then it like turns out they just like talked their way out of jail, and it was like, well, that took half an hour. And instead, yeah, but they weren't able to get their contact out of jail that they wanted to keep prisoner. And so they set up this whole heist about like finding the guard that was going to transfer the prisoner to the, next place. And so turns out that guy, where does he, they were able to figure out, where does he drink tonight? And I rolled up a random bar name and I went with The Nasty Husband. And it turned into an entire, like, heist-ish thing where they like went in and as high rollers to like convince this guard that they're like rich guys that can bribe their way into like doing what they want. Well, my bard is up on stage doing the performance of a lifetime, and like they're like scouting women to like hook up with this guy. It was great times. It was great times. Sometimes I feel like we should record our sessions just so people can see the ridiculousness of what we're doing. But no,
yes,
we will not. We will not record
that. You've said enough. You've said enough. To say more might implicate you in future sessions.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like an entire like 2-3 hours of like intense role playing was built off of me just like rolling up a inn's name and being like, I'm going to create this massive backstory for this inn all of a sudden, and we're going to like go deep into it. It's like, let's just fucking do this. And that's probably why I love DMing, honestly. Like over at Atlantic City, I was talking with a bunch of guys about role-playing games, and they're like, well, do you like being a player or a DM? And like, I'm at the point where I actually don't like being a player anymore. Just because it's hard to like, the problem is when you DM for so long, you make so many NPCs and you make so many different, like you improv different like backstories and things so often that when you finally have to play the same character for a long period of time, you go, I'm bored. When can I spin up the next guy? And so it's nice to just like constantly be able to refresh and create new personalities and play different characters all the time. So yeah, I really enjoy it. But as far as what has been in my phase hobby-wise, because I'm actually hobbying again, I have built my Vangorian Lord, Vampire Lord, and Zombie Dragon, 3 Vargeists, and I started building my Blood Knights. So trying to build out my Soulblight Gravelords to go with Manfred. I'm really excited to use Manfred with his new rules, try to see him out. I'm actually going to get a game in tomorrow with 3.0. Going to probably play against Gargants. The very Gargants I borrowed at Atlantic City Open, actually. So
really?
That'll be interesting to see how Gravelords will do against Gargants in the new edition with all the new monster rules and all the bullshit.
No, wait. Is this the original army you borrowed with the intention of painting? or is this you borrowed a second army, correct?
This is the second army I borrowed.
Okay.
The one that's well painted, that's already pre-painted. So I'm going to his house. And we're gonna play a game. So yeah, that's what's been in my phase this week. What about you, Jeremy? Anything exciting?
Let's see. How to describe this? I finished remodeling my downstairs bathroom. I'm super finally done. Got the mirror up, got the lights up. It's basically done. And I'm also going through and painting the last of my, well, not the last, but like what I need for Boise Cup, for the last what I need for my KO, which will surprisingly go on a shelf after Boise Cup as 3.0 comes out.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. Last hurrah for Barack Obama, and then going away in a sad, tragic end times 2.0.
TM.
And then yeah, exactly. No, it's just like I tried to get a game in last weekend. I just didn't work out of my schedule and everything. We did actually play a game last Friday, didn't we, Alex? We played a game last Friday, right? It was kind of long because I think we hung out for like 2-3 hours.
Yeah, we didn't get our games. We didn't start our game until like 10:30 at night, and I was like, "Oh, so we're doing this? Okay."
Yeah, and I think it was my first game of 3.0 with Sylvanev, and
Yeah.
It was incredibly interesting because as much as I shit on the fact that like current off honors went up like an insane amount of points, like 35 points or something.
Yeah.
The thing is like they're with all out defense, and the fact you can like they don't have a well, they have a unit champion, but also the fact that you can measure like all command abilities from them, they're becoming like incredibly like actually kind of fairly hard to remove off the table, unless obviously your opponent brings like a bunch of mortal wound generation to the. But at the same time, like their shooting got better just because of the all out attack. +1 hit is huge for them. And the War Song Revenant was incredibly powerful, mostly because of the way, and I'm sure that's going to get back at some point, or I can't see it lasting it, the way of Throne of Vines triggers plus Spell Portal and his War Scroll ability, because they lost Spellwind. I did manage to I think hit 7 or 8 of your Night Haunt units and did a whopping something like 20 mortal wounds from that one combination, and that was a fairly low roll on average, but I was still kind of holy shit, that could be super annoying to most players. And he's in Narroot, which is the wizard sub-allegiance for Sylvanev. He has some incredibly powerful relics and command traits. Anytime he casts a spell, he gets to heal any unit holy or any model holy even 18 P3 wounds, includes himself. He casts every spell and unbind on 3d6, picks the 2 highest or discards one of the dice, and it's just he's now granted he's only level, he can only cast 2 spell in this unbind or dispel one. In retrospect, I probably should have been with the problem with Throne of Vine makes him a little bit static since it stacks over time, but it was just getting him to cast his War Scroll spell through a spell portal at +5 because he had this native +1/+2 Throne of Vine was incredibly powerful trigger. Also, the melee hunters being 2 models for objective purposes actually kind of was interesting because a lot of the time the Night Haunt blocks were only 10 men. So it was this weird position where anytime the Kurnoff dropped them below, did 5 damage, they would take the objective away from them. And it was a staggeringly backbreaking thing that would keep happening because you couldn't just it was harder for the MSU army to consistently keep units on an objective just because of now they're double their board presence. They're much more annoying. And Drika was hilarious with the Unleash Hell command ability. I think she did 5 or 6 mortal wounds herself just in that Unleash Hell. She only got to use it once, but I was who cares? I'm hitting at -1. I'm looking for 6s anyway for mortal wounds. And I don't know, the entire and also like doing heroic action lets Dryka survive a lot longer. She's a monster, so she is 5 models for scoring. Like it was like there was a bunch of like weird things for Sylvaneth that were like incredibly good. Now here comes the bad part though. So we played the smaller table, which was fine. We played the recommended terrain amount, which is 8 pieces, I believe, on the table. It was like impossible to set up in my territory because of the mission, one full Sylvaneth terrain feature, of like 3 trees. I could only deploy one, and I could only deploy one full one on the end table completely based on objectives and restrictions. Because of the new changes to Awakened Wildwoods, they always have to be 3 inches away from terrain and objectives, no matter if they're summoned later now, because of the new like changes they did to the War Scroll. I will say though, the new changes to mortal wounds was hilarious. I didn't. I will say it was kind of a gotcha moment to Alex because honestly, I didn't really know until he read like the rule after he finished charging everything into like the dryads that were in that like one solid piece of Sylvaneth wood, where you basically roll dice at the end of each charge phase. And for every model or every unit, enemy non-Sylvaneth unit within like was it like 1 inch of the terrain feature, they take D3 mortal wounds on a 6+. But if there's a single endless spell or wizard within, I think it was 6 inches of the trees, or 3 inches, I forgot either when. It was just there was a wizard inside the trees anyway. But they get +2 in that dice roll. So all of a sudden, I think he had like 3 characters in range and like 1 unit in range, and it was just like popping mortal wounds here and there everywhere. And I was just like, oh my god, that can be like super obnoxious. Like think about it, like I was thinking after I played that game, like what if those weren't like one single like Sylvaneth Awakened Wood, but what if there were like 2 or 3 different Awakened, one single tree 3 inches apart, just like force, like you could, I don't know how it'd be very hard to do in the game, but like it's not impossible to like set up this like not necessarily one footprint, but like this weird like hodgepodge like footprint of 3 different single trees 3 inches away from each other, and just sitting the dryad right down the smack middle and be like, if you charge me, there's a possibility of taking like 3d3 more.
Yeah.
So it was
the Pokemon is back at it again.
I thought it was Sylvaneth were interesting and 3 point. It was also like not a very good matchup for Alex just because of his army doesn't have very much.
That's the not good matchup for Alex. And
Well,
we've seen that traditionally now over probably 100+ episodes, if we count our prior incarnation, that is the major factor, that if there isn't a matchup against Jeremy, Alex wins tournaments, wins GTs, wins games.
Let's not give him enough.
Jeremy with Le Pokemon factor. There is Alex not winning games. So we understand what you mean by hard matchup.
I was gonna say let's first not give him an inferiority complex. B, I don't need more free real estate in his head, and then C, let's just talk about the facts of like just Nighthaunt, right? Nighthaunt in 3.0. They need a rewrite for the facts because like most of the command abilities do nothing for Nighthaunt now, the new generic ones. All at defense or Mystic Shield does nothing because they ignore modifiers to save rolls. Then the +1 to hit is okay, but they're already an army that gets to walk around or reroll everything to hit and like reroll or +1 to wound and reroll once to wound for like the chain mask. And so it's like most of the time, like your plus, like the only thing you need CP for is like the generic abilities they bring, which is giving 1 unit +1 attack, which is a huge downgrade from what they used to be able to do. Or like Inspiring Presence, which is almost non-existent now because of Bravery 10 and like MSU limitations. So like most of like the changes to 3.0 really hurt Nighthaunt, and the fact that like the Black Coach is not a monster is like super actually like problematic from just the way the mission designs are for them. And and especially the matchup where they're fighting with very little rend against Kurnoff hunters who just have straight up re-rolling saves. And like most of the time, either one unit is Mystic Shielded and the other one's using all out defense, and they're just re-rolling 3-up saves. basically impossible for like it's incredibly hard for them to chew through. And then the fact that they heal with the command trait and the spell that lets him repop, like you can bring one back if you get the spell. It's just like the whole combination of thing was like not like did not go very like the matchup felt very like one-sided, just flat out. So anyway, that was the game. I'm sure Alex would have his like own version of it that he can tell the story, but I think my version is the better version. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I did spend a lot of time that weekend building army lists with 3.0, and I'm super psyched to play like my Fire Slayers in 3.0. I think they're gonna have to make a comeback to a lot of a lot of sad people across the Pacific Northwest. They're gonna be like, "Fuck these guys again! God damn it!"
I thought this was over.
I thought you were done with this shit. So that's my phase. I will say that I am enjoying some Glenlivet 14. I am looking forward to Boise Cup and whatever we're going to have there and also play. It's going to be glorious. It's going to be great. And this is the weekend, by the way, guys, that Left Course Corsair will become #1 team in ITC. I guarantee it for AOS. Guarantee it. Guarantee it.
Wow, that's a heavy amount of responsibility there.
That is. Hey, I there's a little something that normally is right now is when Jeremy would grind some gears for us, and even Garrett has ground some gears, and maybe I've roughly engaged the gears. I would never grind gears. Sounds
roughly
engage them a little bit. But I wanted to bring a little something up, and I won't say it's anything that really upset me. So it's not really a gear grinder again, maybe a rough engagement. But this weekend, AOS 3.0 pre-order went on sale. And as a GW aficionado, as we all are, I've been through many releases at many times with GW. So they've all been a unique experience. But this weekend was the first time I saw something, and I don't know, I think it's for the better, but it's also was very interesting. And that was the order queue. Did you guys get caught up in the order queue with the pre-order queue? No? So I actually hopped on right when everything became available, 4 minutes after the hour, actually, so not immediately. I wasn't sitting there clicking. And instead of being able to go directly to the GW store, a page came up that said, hey, the store is super busy, and to keep things from crashing, basically, we are allowing a limited number of people in. And if you click this button, you can join the queue. And I clicked the button, and when I joined, it was a 26-minute queue. 26-minute queue. And so I happened to be on my phone, so hung around, kept the browser open, and sure enough, 27 minutes later, I was able to go into the store. And when I went into the store, they still had limited edition of the core rules available. They still had the coin sets. They still had Dominion that I could order. Basically, everything was there. I just decided to order the, General's Handbook and the core rules. No special editions or anything like that. But I thought it was kind of interesting. Like I said, it was this first time, like rather than smashing the buttons or crash store or things being sold out instantly, they had this calm queue to engage with a timer.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I saw some screenshots of that, but honestly, I didn't interact with it. I thought that it looked cool though. I'm glad that it was a easy experience.
Yeah, right. I mean, it was unsurprising, but compared to what it could be. And I tell you what, I was surprised that there was only 2,000 of the limited edition, and those are still available. So that was pretty cool.
Wow. So they had an easier time doing that than they did the Warmer Roadshow tickets.
Maybe there's someone behind all of this. Just different groups.
As though there might be, yeah. Well, I'm glad that you did that, and you ended up getting the Dominion box and the core rules.
No Dominion box. Nothing really for me in the Dominion box. I'm actually selling my Stormcast Eternal army.
Oh.
It's not painted, but it's all very well built. It is built with plastic glue
Oh,
and the
fucking
mold
yikes.
lines have been removed on all the models.
Okay, but that's chaotic. That it's clean, but it's also plastic glue.
Strong, mold lineless, smooth transitions.
Wonderful. You love to see it.
There's even
Love to
some
see it.
magnets in there.
Oh wow!
So anyways,
wow.
I already have a buyer on that. So anyways, that's going away. So anyway, so there's nothing for me in the Dominion box. But I do get. How about you guys? You usually get the new rules on order? Or are you just gonna free ball it on release day?
I personally am going to free ball it on release day because that's kind of what I've been doing since the friendly local game stores are unreliable, even with pre-orders right now. So I just show up to Games Workshop day of. But also the app for as long as it lasts because of news we found out today during the recording. Yeah, we are probably getting a completely new app, and it's probably going to be just like the 40K app. So that is not exciting at all. I just hope to God that
You shut your mouth. You shut your whore mouth.
Okay, you were the one. It was your prediction, and I told you until they show us proof, I'm not believing it. And now they showed us proof, so now I'm believing it.
I'm adding some gravitas to this conversation. Keep going.
I know. Yeah. I wasn't. I honestly, like, you talked to me yesterday. You talked to me last night, and I would have been like, yeah, of course they're not going to do it. Just like my position the last several weeks, they're not going to make an 40K app or 40K version or Age of Sigmar version of the 40K app. There's no reason to. They already have an app, and now that they got this business,
so it's clear. It's like you have it in one hand. You have Shinola, right? Where's that? There we go. We got some Shinola. In the other hand, you have some shit, and you say, hey, you know what? Since you have Shinola, can't we have more? We see the Shinola compared to the shit, and they say, no problem. Let's take some of that shit, smear it all over the Shinola, and now everything's the same.
That is a very old reference, and my dad used to say it a lot. So yes, I know that. Yeah, you don't know shit from Shinola. Yeah,
I mean, come on, guys. So for context, for like most of the audience who doesn't know, the AOS app is built by a third party, not by Games Workshop.
Was built by a third party that's no longer affiliated with Games Workshop.
Well, it's just that they never had a digital team before. And now for the 40K app, they have hired and staffed an in-house designer team, developer team. This transition just makes sense from a corporate like finance P&L situation, which is like, why are we paying this third-party person? Well, we can just use our in-house developers to build this app. And that's the entire, like, I'm sure there's other business model things they're going to introduce, like what they did for 40K app, where you have a code that, unlocks a digital thing, your printed copy, which means you can't buy digital copies maybe anymore. I'm sure they're going to replicate that business model. But, well, at least I've theorized that they're going to replicate that business model. But the situation is very simple. It's purely financial. It has nothing to do with like value add or whatever. It just has to do with the fact that, like, why do we pay these people and still use an external party to do this app? It comes out.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it from a business standpoint, but it is going to be a nightmare for us as individuals, as customers. And I'm shocked that they haven't gotten, I'm sure they have negative feedback and that they have, people going like, your 40K app sucks. Why are you
it's been that way ever since they launched it. I don't think they've ever had a positive feedback.
No, I'm sure that they have an operations team that is constantly on their toes, stressing out, figuring out how to make everything work properly, because it just doesn't work. So my one sliver of hope is that, yes, it's going to be something that will be parallel to the 40K app, but no, it will not be the same in terms of design structure, right? Kind of like different editions of both game systems have different things that are, similar but different. I can only hope that the app is not just copy paste 40K app, but for, more swords and less guns, right? Like, I hope that it is truly something that is a little bit more unique to its style. It's going to have to be, in my opinion, just fundamentally based on the fact that, the 40K app is meant for 40K, and the way you see your lists, the way you see your armies, the way you view your codexes is going to be different than the way you see a battle tome or a war scroll, or really figure out structure in those fashions. So yeah, we'll see. Going also back to what you had mentioned regarding the game that you and I played. I was not expecting to play a 3.0 game, and that was on me. So yes, I also learned a lot from that game. I feel like though there's the risk of losing or giving your opponent bonus points for killing your monsters. Monsters have multiple turns that they can earn several extra bonus points for an individual. So the positives kind of outweigh the negatives. And the only problem with Night Hunt is that they do have one monster, and it's a 270 point overpriced, very meh monster because it took 1.5 editions of it being fucking insane, and then everything else just nerfing it into submission. So, Morngul is not worth 270 points. So, I think it's 3.0. I'm not going to be playing too much Night Hunt. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I
boy.
mean, I'm sure though. Once you figure out the formula, you'll get back to it. Like,
I'm not worried. Yeah.
I was thinking like one of the things in our game I didn't mention that like I think Night Hunt does well is that competes well on like battle tactics instead of Sylvanet because of tree revenants.
But you got to remember, you can't use the same battle tactic every turn.
I know, but all of them do, like, both armies can do well. And like there's an advantage to not having a monster in the army, which is that like you're not going to give up command points, but you're also not going to necessarily gain command points, or not command points, sorry, bonus points, bonus victory points.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say is the risk of your opponent getting victory points on you because you have a monster and it might get killed, or multiple monsters, is outweighed by the bonus points that you can get from being a monster. That's what I'm trying to say. So, very interesting stuff, but we're going to see how more things go, especially as we continue with jumping into the new edition. And then for our patrons and then for our teammates, I got a little project that you guys already know about that I'm working on. So it'll be really fun to get that out there into everyone's hands. So it is going to be very cool. I'm just waiting on a couple of little things, mini things to rep things. And we're going to have 2 different branded versions, one for our patrons, one for teammates. So it is going to be.
And I just want to add in there, Alex, not to give up what you're working on, but what I've seen so far, wow, I'm impressed.
Thank you. I'm actually, I have it like right in front of me too, while we're, right next to the Zoom meeting here, right in the background, just because I was earlier trying to make sure that I could fix something based on Jeremy's recommendation, which was a very good point that I had missed. So just required one more thing to be added, and it's already been added. So now we're just figuring out some of the smaller details on an aesthetic scale.
And it looks great. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
But, of course, we're not here to talk about something that we can't talk about yet. Instead, we are talking about some events that are going to be going on this weekend. Specifically, Boise Cup, which is run by our great friend and former TO of Guardian Cup in Portland, Oregon for 40K, Aaron Albert. He is running the show at a game store in Boise, Idaho. There is going to be Kill Team there. There's going to be Age of Sigmar. There's going to be 40K. But then also this weekend, there is going to be, Boise Cup, that is going to be 2 GTs, a GT for 40K, a GT for Age of Sigmar. I think it might be a major for 40K. However, there's another actual major event in California that, John, you're organizing. You're not playing. You're going to run the show.
That's right, Judge.
Yeah. And that is going to be the Hammerhead Games GT, or Hammerhead Games Major. I think it's a Shark Tank Major, correct?
Yeah, Hammerhead, you're right, the Hammerhead GT.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the event that you're going to be running.
Sure. So the Hammerhead GT started off, was going to be a 36-player GT event held at the Hammerhead Game Store in the Sacramento area, there, Central California. And I was actually going to be a player. I think I mentioned that a few weeks ago. That basically I went to sign up for this event as I was putting together my yearly schedule. And when I went to sign up, it had already been sold out. And when I hit Tony up to go onto the waiting list, he said, "Hey, John, I knew you already wanted to play, so I already had you on the main list." I said, "Awesome, I appreciate it." And he said to me, "But you know what? The waiting list is already 32 players long. We might be switching over to a major." I said, "Hey, if this thing goes into a major and you need help with TOing, you let me know." So sure enough, in a very unique move, Tony was able to partner with Game Castle Sacramento to expand the tournament to have a second 36-player pod, which time he asked me if I would, in fact, be the head judge, TO, for the event. I agreed. And so I started working on the player packet. So that's what I've been putting together for the last couple of weeks, or excuse me, last few days, I should say, last week or so, has been the Hammerhead GT packet. If you are on Facebook, you can do a search for Hammerhead Games. You will find the page for the GT. You can look at the packet. If you're, of course, in one of our patrons, I will link it over in the Discord. And it was fun. First off, it's been a year and a half since I've ran an event. So being able to just kind of dust off some skills, put together a packet, looking at the rules, what's going on. I actually looked at almost every major GT that was happening for the rest of the year and took their packets, read their packets, perused the rules, what's kind of the standard right now for running majors and GTs, and incorporated all that information into the packet. Tony had already established quite a few bits of information and unique elements to the event, so I went ahead and added those in. And of course, I added my own Firehead Productions unique elements, which I hope everybody enjoys. And if certainly most of the people in this event, even at 70 plus players, are people who have been, or excuse me, 69 players have been
Nice.
in my events in the past, so they're not surprised by this. And so what I've implemented is, if your game does not go 3 full rounds, both players take a 0-point tie.
That's fucking brutal. That is. I mean, I love it. I love it.
Right?
That is like
It's-
you and your opponent have to talk to each other and be like, "Yo, we need to like finish this."
We need to finish this. And there's 3-hour rounds. As you guys know, I'm big on timing, so I make sure everybody's aware of timing during the events. I will yell out what the current remaining time is and what round you're expected to be on. I will be going around table to table, making sure that everybody is on the appropriate round. And long before it becomes a problem, already encouraging people to speed up their games. And as always, if it seems that people are intentionally taking too much time and they are not using a chess clock already, then I will begin apportioning time to the players at the table to make sure that they get to that point. So this is something that I've been doing for a couple of years now, and it honestly has only come up once in any event ever, and that is, of course, the famous game between our teammate Paul McKelvey and Brian Pullen at one of my GTs, where they managed to get to turn 2 after
Oh my God.
3 hours of gameplay. And so that's pretty amazing there. Other than that, one of the other unique things is anybody who has a winning record on day 2 is going to be required to play with a chess clock. So chess clocks are optional day 1, but if you have a winning record on day 2, you will play with a chess clock. We are doing 2 pods. So day 1, it's a random distribution. Half the people will go to one store, half will go to the other store. I will be floating in between, and then we have TOs and judges in both locations. And then on day 2, the top 36 are going to one store and everybody else is going to the other store. One of the unique things is this tournament is supporting Table War charities. And so in support of Table War charities, what we're doing is obviously opportunities for raffle and donations. In fact, I saw that, what was it? Tony was saying, he was announcing there was like $5,000 in ticket sales and $8,000 in prize support so far for the event. So a lot of prize support being donated, Army Painter, anyways. But Table War charities in particular, what we're allowing people to do is pay to choose whether they want to be at the pod that'll be at Hammerhead Game Store or the pod that'll be over there at Game Castle on day 1, at least to start off. After that, luck of the draw is as it is. And of course, BCP has support for pods nowadays, has a lot of good tools to make all of this a lot easier. And finally, like I said, I've been working on facts, as I kind of commented on earlier. looking at players and their questions, both being PM'd to me as well as posted on the Facebook, which is always, you can tell a lot about a player by the way they phrase a question. That's a good way to put it. And,
give us an example.
yeah, give us an example. Give us an example. Well, if such and such happens and such happens, I think that we should have such and such go on. You know, even though Raw says da da da. In fact, you know, back in second edition, there was a fluff piece that indicated that, you know, this unit has this kind of concept behind them. And so that should be expressed for the first time ever in this poorly written rule right here that I'm trying to exploit.
So basically, don't be a lawyer. Got it.
Thanks, bud. Thanks. That's why I always tell people, if you want to ask a question, I require you actually ask a question, right? That you phrase your question in the form of a question, give actual support in the form of rules, documentation, and facts, and give me what you think the answer to your question should be. And that's the most important part. I'm not trying to pass my 40K IQ test. I want to see if you can ask a question, ask for what you think say what you think it should do, what you plan on doing with it on the tabletop, and we, the judging staff, will decide how wonderful or not wonderful your interpretation is. So,
All right.
Yeah. I see at this point, like I've now written, what is this? A 5-page document as well as a multi-page fact. And now we see why Garrett is super into the, yo, bro, like just play. And if you have to ask me any questions, you're out.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's funny. I was actually tempted, Tony, of course, with Hammerhead Games, was the person who made all the trophies for my Firehead production tournaments in the past. So he does have a laser cutting business, doing, MDF, laser cut, terrain, markers, measuring things. And I was thinking, what I should have him do is make an old school cricket paddle with the holes in it, that it becomes my yellow card. So if anyone has to get a yellow card, they actually get a paddling with a nice laser cut acrylic yellow card. What do you think? You think that'll go over well?
Probably not.
No, maybe not.
I think you're opening up to legal problems there. But
maybe. Well, if they pay me to paddle them, that might be other legal.
That might be fine. That might be fine.
Okay,
as long as you can show a receipt. You just need a receipt.
Yeah, they pay for it. And then the other thing is, I actually had several people ask me if I'm bringing hot peppers to the tournament, and I'm going to be making having pepper challenge matches or anything like that. So we'll see what happens. So a little early in the season. So anyways, that's all I have to yabber on about the Hammerhead Games.
Yeah. Don't worry, John. You can keep going, just to the dismay of Alex.
Okay, that's fine. Then I will. So the lists were actually had to be submitted by yesterday. 68 out of 69 players have submitted their lists, and one person has gained a yellow card for that. No, 2 players.
Your pack. You said any late submission is 2 yellow cards.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, excuse me. They got both yellow cards.
Trying to say, geez.
Yeah. Whatever.
What do I get when they get 10 yellow cards?
10 yellow cards. You get that special paddle I was talking about. And I'm noticing as I'm looking at all the players here, all 69 of them on the BCP app, that of course the lists have not been made public yet. So we can't talk about what's on the list, but I do like that we have, I don't know if we can see that. See how we have green, which indicates the list passed the auto checking function, right, Garrett?
Your format. It only checks your format. It does not validate legality.
If you can get the format right, it's probably legal.
No, that is very untrue. You can easily make illegal lists in the correct format. Super easy.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
100%.
So here it is in the packet anyways. Army lists are due no later than 6/21/21 midnight. Any late submissions are considered a yellow card for that player. Any late submissions after lists have been revealed will be considered 2 yellow cards.
Oh,
Army
that's what
lists
it
will
is.
be made public Wednesday, 6/23 at 6 p.m. So maybe they are public, but I'm still not clicking on it. The legality of the Army list is solely the responsibility of the player using it, not the judges, not Battlescribe, not the GW app, only the player. Double check your Army list, have your friend double check the Army list, then have his friend double check the Army list. Also, custom dice can only be used if every dice you're using has the symbol on the same side, all on the 6. Any dice with more than one symbol are not legal.
Wow.
Any dice with more than one symbol are not legal. I'm going to say Fire Slayer dice, all those things are symbols. Get the hell out of here.
So basically, no Games Workshop dice.
Yeah.
Got it.
Right?
Hey, what about my Lumineth dice? You know, little.
The wooden
Like-
ones?
No,
are they made
the-
out of wood?
No, they're the cylindric ones.
The dreidels?
yeah, the
no.
dreidels. The dreidels.
No dreidels. No dreidels.
I think you might have the Jewish Association Warhammer players coming at you. coming at you.
Why?
That's anti-Semitic. How do you dare you disallow the
This is
dreidel
a
from being
very
played?
different conversation.
Wow. You're just painting me in the most positive light ever. That's it.
Super positive. I mean, like
So,
to be honest,
yes,
those
your
those
Necron
dice.
monolith dice aren't allowed.
Well, I was going to say
There are
those-
Necron
those-
monolith dice?
No, they're not Necron models. But you know, squid dice totally illegal, right? Because there's only one symbol. It's the bouncing one.
Well, I mean, I would argue that the Nurgle dice are going to be allowed, but all others are out.
I think that's a very
No bias.
biased
There's no
opinion.
bias to that.
Oh, wow. No bias whatsoever.
So like the Lumineth dice that came in the pre-order box are fine because they only have one symbol. The Lumineth dice, which are the dreidel, Games Workshop only printed them once and then took them offline within like 3 weeks of putting them for sale because people were like, "Oh, this was a terrible idea.
They were
why
like,
do we
"Why
do
did you
this?
do this?"
Why do we even do this to ourselves?" No,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Like, it's very fair to not include symbols because, like, you know, the Fire Slayer dice, like, their symbols are pips effectively, so it's just you count the number of runes. But even people like have a hard time. Like, I stopped using them like even a while back because people have a hard time like tracking because their brains are like when it comes to visual recognition, they're used to like very there's a perceptive order to the pips. So even if the pips even if they didn't change, like as if like the pips were still pips, but like they were not organized in the same way anymore. Like let's say like 5 was 4 pips one way and then 1 pip in the center in the second column. People would not recognize that as 5.
Correct.
Even though there's 5 pips, it doesn't matter. It's a visual recognition ability that people do not. Their brains are designed. They've trained their brains to process these pips, and if you change that, their brain goes into a frenzy, or they can't accommodate.
If you want to really get into it, what it is that by having the standard pattern of pips, your brain is actually able to project a memory of dice and process the memory of the dice. Whereas when it's not the standard pips, it has to actually process the current image of dice that's in front of your eyes. And that's what, taxes people's brains. Whereas you, the player who uses those non-standard dice, have already trained your brain for the pattern recognition and thus take a minor advantage from it. I mean, yes. Yes, right?
It's the same reason why people can read words when the first and last letter are the same, but the middle letters are basically tangled up. As long as it's the same amount of numbers of letters, and it's the first one and the last one's the same, it doesn't matter what's in the middle. Most people will read that correctly. It's just that's how our brain processes things. It's just that context of like it doesn't necessarily matter what's in between or how they're structured as long as they fit a very specific structure. Anyway, That was a side note
so
of that.
so yeah, so that wonderful thought aside, that's almost a whole show unto itself, is psychology of dice, which is a thing. But other nice things about the event is we do have dinner, or excuse me, lunch being catered in both days, available as part of the ticket, so people don't have to wander about and take care of that. So again, should be a wonderful event. And again, as I look at this list of players, for those of you who have played in Northern California, those who have played out on the West Coast, lots of names that you'll recognize: Aaron Wish, Adam Dye, Adrian Phillips, going to be there. Brian Leva. We got Chris Nelson coming in over here. Doug Johnson, of course, of Table Wars. Yeah, War Boss Doug going to be there. Mr. Dustin Lane going to be in there. By the way, Aaron being one of our patrons, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
So we're wishing him and his Dark Angels, painted by Israel Sanchez, lots of luck in this event. Who else do we got? We got Jason, Jesse McGowan going to be in there. Who else do I see? Josh Scrivens. Good to see him. We'll run into him. Mason Vasquez. There's a name I haven't heard for a while. Michael Ford, Michael Bass, Mr. Nicholas Hayden, who, of course, has been a guest on our show a couple times. Nolan Cryer, Ricardo Leva, interesting. Scott Fontaine, Cyrus Chappell, name we haven't seen in the Central Valley for a while. Mr. Tim Deardoff of, I know he's Brohammer, but it's not that Brohammer. The cool Brohammer. The team Brohammer from Duels and stuff, as well as, of course, Mr. Zach Backus. So a great crowd of people. It's going to be an amazing event this weekend. I'm not pimping ticket sales. It's super sold out. You guys will hear about it, of course, next week. And with that, please cut me off and let's talk about the Boise Cup.
It's impossible because you raise your voice when that happens. But I think it's a cool event. I think that it looks like it's a lot of fun, and I'm very excited about you being able to TO this event. Right on, right on. You guys have thoughts about the event? Questions for John? No?
Questions? Not at all.
Fair enough. Cool.
It's all in the packet. There couldn't be any possible questions.
All
right?
in the packet.
Yeah.
And of course, we got the 40K Boise Cup also coming around the corner. It's funny, while we were talking about this event, I just got a message from one of my friends in Canada asking if any of us were going to Attack X. And oh God, is it tempting, but the border needs to open for that to even be a possibility. Boise Cup is going to be in the Pacific Northwest. And of course, we are going to be having a little bit of a heat wave in the Pacific Northwest this weekend. Honestly, I just knew it was going to be a hot weekend. I didn't know it hit the news until I got some PMs last night from people being like, "Oh my God, are you going to be okay? Please stay safe." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, fair." It's going to be hot as fuck, both in Boise and in Portland and in Seattle. But climate change doesn't exist. That's a whole other thing, right? Anyways, Boise Cup is going to be, of course, in Boise. It is going to be at ABU Games in Boise. It looks like a really big facility. I myself have never been there, but I know that it formerly used to be either a high school or it used to be the gymnasium or part of a high school. Is that right, Jeremy? You've been there.
It's not a high school. It's literally a store that has like so it's a big actually store that made its money mostly from.
Oh no, I never said it was a school. I said it used to be a school.
No, it's not a school. It used to be a gymnasium. It used to be like a gym, like a proper like private gym. And like so they convert, like the last time I went to it, they basically used the basketball court that was built into the gym to basically use as the entirety of like where the floor for the 40K tournament was. They also have like a shit ton of hardware space. The one weird thing is when you went to the bathroom, it's like the male's locker room, and there's like a empty ass like refrigerator, like basically kind of like a small pool section where you're supposed to cool off. And so it's this weird kind of like you enter and it's like super creepy. It's dark lighted. There's a bunch of empty lockers, and you're like, where am I? But it was perfect for the store because they're like most of their business is online retailer of Magic cards, and they give them this massive amount of warehouse space. And so like that, so the AOS component, I believe, is going to be in one of the section they've just finished renovating for floor space, and the 40K one will still be in the gymnasium. So for 40K players, if you are have some issues with knees and ankles, I'd highly recommend bringing soft padding because your knees and ankles will die by the end of the weekend if you stand up on that.
Well, can they just soak in the pool?
There is no water. It's empty. They just have like the leftovers from like they've been slowly renovating this space to make it more functional for their store, but it's like this huge old private gym. So there's probably a sauna room that's like locked up, and they probably store a bunch of their terrain in there, I'm guessing. Or like magic cards. Like so from it's a huge space. It's a very big space. So it's pretty cool. There's also like this nice little like strip mall next to it that has like some really like small like diners, which are interestingly placed in there. But anyway, it's a good venue. It has plenty of space. There's no bumping ass or like shoulder to shoulder. And Aaron is one of the best TO when it comes to terrain I've ever run across. Like his tables are always hands down some of the best tables when it comes to density of terrain and also quality of terrain for tables. So which is I'll take some photos over the weekend just to give a context of what it looks like for the audience. But like I wish every major TO would strive for that level of density on like their tables effectively. Not judging you at all, John. I'm just saying like he just puts in a lot of work in that.
I have no responsibility for terrain at the event, but I will comment that the guy running the event has a business that is laser cutting.
Yeah, he has 3D printing and he does laser cutting, and he also did screen printing for a little bit. So yeah, he definitely makes a lot of the terrain for the event himself, which is awesome. But also like that's where it needs to be, like organization like FLG, Nova, and so forth. Like that's the level of like expectation I have for and Warhammer as well.
Right. So, and I actually meant Hammerhead Games because that makes all the terrain and stuff.
Yeah, but he is right.
So, yeah,
Tony and Hammerhead does a really great job with his MDF stuff and just his ability to literally produce terrain. Same goes for Aaron. Aaron's got all the MDF. Yeah, and he's right. Aaron went through a screen printing, phase, went through everything else. Now he's got the 3D printed phase, and he's been sharing a lot of photos, at least about the Age of Sigmar terrain, that he's been very excited about.
Oh,
It's a lot less conventional. It's a lot less the same thing over and over again. So he's been building like different boards, like a swamp board and like a village board and stuff like that. So he's been sharing actually on the team chat. If you scroll up enough, you'll see a variety of different like a bog table he made that he just
some of those are
was
amazing.
really excited for. Yeah, and it looks awesome. But for the 40K event itself, he's got a very straightforward pack, and he of course has, I think at this point, about a decade of experience TOing. Maybe a little bit more, I think, or maybe just a little less. But he's got a whole thing with the fact that chess clocks are going to be available. They're going to be 3-hour rounds. They are, there's a lot of very specifics with the ITC code of conduct, which just very recently got updated. So it definitely got a lot of good information there. So there's certainly a lot to take away. In addition to that, he, just like Jeremy had mentioned, they even give recommendations for food on the pack. Not something you see all the time, but you always got to appreciate a pack too that has the entire painting rubric on it as well. I feel like sometimes you just don't see that, and so the fact that he's got this very in-depth one is very cool. But then there's also something that he's got in the 40K pack, which I've seen maybe at 2 events before, and they weren't his events. So maybe if this is a tradition in Boise Cup, that's awesome. But not only do we have like the standard, information you would normally see from a player pack, but there's a list of achievements. Now, these achievements.
What's that all about, Alex? I've never seen anything like that. That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, it does. You're essentially, it looks like it's different events, exactly like you would get an achievement, say,
God.
playing a video game. With
Oh.
achievements, you have to have your opponent sign the sheet verifying the completion of them. And, so you kind of have to like have things very front and center.
You guys
but
are
it looks,
assholes. You
I'm
guys are
sorry, what?
assholes. Oh, so I came up with those for Garden Cup like 10 years ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and then Aaron basically kept the tradition after I was like a step down, and he kept running the Garden Cup, and then he took the tradition back to Boise Cup. I implemented the original like achievement mechanic for Garden Cup, and then for context, Aaron the TO used to live in Portland and ran the Garden Cup for many years. And then when he moved to Boise, he started the Boise Cup. And the achievement, yes, was very much like video games. It was designed to be like video games. It was to introduce a fun way for people to play the event, which is a competitive event, in a non-competitive way. Like that was the way like you introduce like achievements. It's to be, fun mechanics are not like competitive, because not everybody who's going to show up to the event is about competition. So
I don't know. I before, when I thought it was something that Captain Aaron was doing, I was thinking it was in fact a cool video game like achievement. But now that I know that it comes from Le Bogeyman, I see it more as like just kind of a dick measuring stick and a way to oppress other people. I don't know.
Well, now it's a way to compete to get.
Here's my dick measuring stick, John. There it is.
Yeah.
For visual reference for people listening to this, I'm fingering John, not sexually, just figuratively.
Okay, well, whatever. No judgment.
I'm a little bummed out that he didn't just implement these or make slightly different phrased versions of this for AOS, because I would have fucking loved this. Because like you look at the list of these achievements, and some of them are very rudimentary and some of them are fun as hell. And now I realize that the achievements that I remember seeing in other events before were at Guardian Cups. Like for instance, can I offer you a drink? You get this achievement if you buy your opponent a beverage.
That's awesome.
Even if they say no. Now, this is going to be a dry venue, so good luck getting that one. I guess it could be a Sprite, right?
Secret Jello shots.
One of them is this is the Jeremy Vessier special.
No.
CP bleed. Use all your CP by the end of the first battle round. That sounds like a couple of games I've played recently. There's some where you use your last CP on a reroll and it has to fail. That gives you an achievement. There's like 30 some odd achievements, just for the record. But just to name a few others, I just think it's funny. Like there's one that says I cannot make this charge. Fail a 4-inch charge or less. Slap fight. Have a fight phase where neither side suffers a wound. Let's see. I'm the one having only one model left from a 10+ model unit after the morale phase. The metal boxes have a vehicle survive the game with 3 or less wounds.
I love metal boxes. That's probably my favorite.
Of course. I really like Yahtzee, which is exactly what it sounds like. Roll 5 of the same dice and on a roll with 10 or less dice. You get an achievement for getting tabled. You get an achievement for tabling someone. There's something called perfect score, which is 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. And my very favorite,
500.
Oh, okay. And my favorite one is the very last one, which is write a haiku about one of your games and post it on the Boise Cup Facebook page. However, he did not update this PDF. It says post it to the Boise Cup 2018 Facebook page. So now you need to actually find the 2018 page. Post on there.
Or else you might not get what happens.
Now, is this restricted to traditional haikus, or is an traditional haiku allowed?
I would say ask Aaron, but I think you have to ask Jeremy.
That's why I was literally asking Jeremy what was the intent.
Mm-hmm. He's frozen. He's completely frozen. He's not.
I think there. He is deep in thought, because I've introduced to him the concept that there may be traditional haikus. He's like, oh my God, can I go like 7737 and still call it a haiku?
You broke the
You
machine.
can't-
You froze it. You know.
Yeah, it's like you actually like caught me right when I walked away to get myself another drink. But so I had to come running back upstairs to go to answer your question. I have no clue as to TO. Like that, like every good rule for any kind of packet, ask the fucking TO. Unless it's Garrett running it, then don't ask Garrett. Or you get DQ'd.
I think what you just said there was a haiku.
Oh, was it? I don't think it was.
You literally answered the question with a haiku. Amazing. Brilliant. That's when you know you're in the company of genius.
Oh my god. Oh my god. But this looks like a really fun pack, and I'm really excited. Now I'm just kind of bummed out that we don't get achievements again for the AOS portion of things. However, were any of you guys able to take a peek at the AOS player pack?
Yeah, it's a lot less complicated.
Well, it's pretty straightforward, for sure. They definitely took a page from the ACO, where they gave us a set of 7 different missions. And out of the 5 missions that we're going to end up playing, they are going to randomly determine which ones they are between Border War, Total Conquest, Blade's Edge, Knife's Heart, Places of Arcane Power, Focal Points, and Shifting Objectives. Now, I, running 90 Chain Rasps, was bummed out that a mission that I don't even like playing wasn't there, which is Knife to the Heart, because Knife to the Heart would have been very convenient.
Battle for the Past would also been nice. Like, I mean, I'm bringing in like an army that is like hoping to dodge Places of Arcane Power, but I don't really care because it's like my goodbye like event for KO basically. So it is what it is.
Same.
Focal
It's
Points
my
is not also not very good for me, but whatever.
True. I mean, then there's like, yeah, Blade's Edge is a real rough one, but you know, that'll be a good one to play because hey, in the third battle round, no, not the third battle round. The person who goes second after the first battle round burns an objective, right?
Who cares? I'm already ready for 3.0. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of there with you too.
So it's hard to be in this transitional phase where you're already starting to think about the new rules, but then have to play with the old ones.
Well, tell me about it because I'm going to be playing the old rules in Milan in like September. So it's going to be hilarious. I do want to say the first day is split in Ascri, which is the Realm of Fire, and then the second realm is split in Realm of Shaiish, which is great for me because it gives me the ability to actually unbind spells versus because everything is nullification versus the first day is everything is what's the word I'm looking for? Exploding. So it's the Ashwi, the Realm of Fire, also known as the Transformer Director's realm. So explosions everywhere, guys. Michael Bay.
Oh,
yes. Because what's it called? It's volcanic on every terrain feature, including terrain feature or faction terrain features. Yeah. So, I don't think. I think is the packet is fine. I mean, it took a lot of spirit from ACO. I also appreciate that he posted all the mission battle plans inside the packet, so you don't have to go back to the GHB to reread them. There will be best order, best destruction, best death, best chaos. It will and also best in faction awards, which is cool. I really like that. Not because I necessarily I'm never striving to get best in any factions if I'm playing. It's just that it's nice to reward. One big thing about events I really appreciate is when they reward all of the people who somebody showed up and let's say what was the Witch Hunter faction? I don't think they exist anymore. I think they're on the cities. But if somebody shows up with an obscure faction and they can still get because they wanted to be best in that, I think it's great. It echoes the spirit of ITC. Yes, it's a competitive event, but you should also take it with a grain of salt. You should do what you enjoy best in the game, and anytime that basically any event incentivizes that, it's great. So I'm looking forward to that. No, for best painted, since Carl Payne is not playing OS, I think Alex has a shot at it.
Not with 40 base coated chain rasp. Not happening.
You should
But
just
thank
you should have just played OBR. But
Well,
you know,
I want to
I
play
love it.
OBR in 3.0, but it
I
requires
love
a heavy FAQ.
I love it. I love that you took that as a compliment, even though it was meant to be like you can't get best general because I'm gonna be there. Like you didn't even like think about that dichotomy.
No,
like,
I chose not to engage with
best-
that portion of it.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay,
no,
that's-
I'm well aware. Look at my 2019 record. I'm well aware. Which is
All
not
right,
a bad
well,
record.
best
but
sportsman
still.
and best overall still open, buddy. You can nail it. I believe in you.
I mean, hey, some people consider best
Is
overall.
Cody going to be there?
Yeah,
Cody will be there with his spec.
Oh, so
Um,
best sportsman's probably out for you.
Weirdly, yeah, right. Well, weirdly enough,
Oh shit.
yeah. But we got a good cast of people who are going. We have a lot of, we have for Corsairs, we have, again, Jeremy and myself. We have Cody, Ben Schmoller bringing his big wah. And I think that might be.
And he's going to play
Well, I
Works
think he-
too, right?
I think he's playing just Iron Jaws, actually. I think he's playing
Just
Blood
playing
Tooth.
pure Iron Jaws?
Yeah, he's playing Bloodtooth, which is like a really
Wait.
good list.
Oh, okay. I thought he was.
It's the he's playing well, I mean, I don't know. I don't think we're gonna look at the list, but he was debating between a Big Wall list or a Bloodtooth list, and the Bloodtooth list is the one of like the auto cast once per game auto cast a teleport spell, which is
He better not be
good.
considering lists because they were due yesterday.
No, I'm saying like I don't know what he posted on the app. I know that he was
Oh.
debating between two lists, and I
Word.
don't know what he submitted to the app because I don't have the power to do that. I look at Garrett attentively.
Mhm. I guess he can answer us right now. That's very true.
No, he can't because that would break some ethical ground.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, like he cares.
Ethics?
Come on, his brother is literally a mad like
A
basically
mad
going to be a
scientist?
mad
Yeah, that's
scientist.
what you were about to say.
Yeah. No. He is. How many times has he brought up some like completely fucking insane things? Like the comments that he's made, I wish I screenshotted them. Like, oh yeah, I've changed viruses in a lab before, or like, oh, I've done this, or I've done that. And you're like, okay, like what's next?
I just want to know.
You're gonna be disappointed.
I'm gonna be very disappointed if the 1, 2, 3 podium finish aren't all Left Coast Corsairs, and I'm telling that to everybody, including myself.
You also have to tell Cody that because Ben's gonna go in it with a losing mindset. So unless we
What?
bully
Oh,
him into having
I'm changing that tomorrow, of course. As I
good.
take his money over poker and then just really reinforce it upon him.
That's a good point.
No, I mean like we're gonna be like 25% of the tournament. So
Right now we have 21 players. We were at 23, but we had 2 drops. And so I've been hitting up other Helveticans in Spokane. I've been hitting up the DMB guys. I've weaseled my way into both Discord servers, and I've been trying to get them to bully their teammates who may play 40K or some other game system to come join. There's going to be a heavy DMB Mama's Boys presence. They are from Moscow, Idaho primarily. Then again, Betty's Flying Helveticans, which is a big 40K and AOS team up in Spokane for Gamers Haven Game Store. There's also going to be, and they're probably going to be the ones traveling the farthest away, there's going to be quite a few Victoria's Secret players. Jack Ballard's going to be there. I'm going to assume with the last stand of the shoot cast, especially since I was unable to see him in ACO. It's going to be really cool to see him there. A few other Victoria's Secret members are also going to be there as well. So it'll be a very, very good time.
You better watch out. Jack's riding high after his domination of poor Garrett at the ACO on the battlefield. And so now I hear that he's all about beating Corsairs coast to coast. And he's got his eye on you there, Alex. So you better watch out.
Oh, I know he does. It's funny. After Garrett's game with him, it was just like random. I guess it was like maybe 2 or what round did you guys play?
5.
Round 5. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because like maybe at around 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. our time that Sunday, I just get a text message from him saying, "Fucking love Garrett, man."
Well,
So that's like,
our game was 20 minutes or 30 minutes or something. And so we went down to the bar and just chatted for an hour, came back, and there was still half hour left in the round. So yeah, no, we just chatted for a long time. And yeah, Jack
That's
was
awesome.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy. So it's gonna be really cool to see him again too. But yeah, we're very excited for the event. And again, last event for 2.0, then you can just delete the general's handbook or throw it somewhere else, because we're about to get a brand new one that we've probably all mostly seen already at this point. But yeah, I guess it's going to be very exciting to report back and see how things are going with this event. The Boise Cup both for 40K and Xxxviii, in addition to, of course, the Hammerhead Major event for 40K. Is there anything else you want to plug for your event, John? It is just a few days away.
It is just a few days away. No, just if anybody's listening, of course, this show, we're going to try and get it out before the weekend, so players in both events can listen to our coverage. So if you guys are playing this weekend, whether it's the Boise Cup or the Hammerhead Games, GT, good luck. And I myself look forward to seeing everybody out in Sacramento this weekend. And as Alex mentioned, of course, we will have wonderful after event coverage.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we hope to see you guys at all these events and many others coming soon. So yeah, this is going to be Alex, John, Garrett, and Jeremy signing off for the evening. Have a great weekend. Happy gaming.
Night, folks.